Heyo. I wanted to get this recorded just before I forgot it, in case I did forget it, because this is kind of a really interesting idea here. Who are the people that are really free in our society? Who are they? Because one group will say the people that are free are the ones with money, and then the other group will say the people who have nothing are the ones that are free because they're not tied down to anything. And I just don't see how either of these two groups could truly be free because they don't have the fullness of choice, right? What's happening is both sides do not have everything. Therefore, they cannot make the choice, like I just said, right? So it begs the question, who are the people that are truly free in society? Is it the people that are in the middle? Or is it somebody else? Like, I don't know. It's kind of a complicated issue here because there is such a small, slim margin of people who truly are free. Because, like I said before, if you have a lot of money or you have too much money, you become saddled by who you are. And a great example of this is the people on the Epstein list, right? Their own flesh took hold of them, right? And ran. And, if you have too little money, you're free, but at the same time, how can you get things, right? Like you're never going to be able to take a trip to Fiji, right? So in that sense, you're not free. Now, obviously, yes, it is dependent upon the person because, somebody, like me, right? I'd consider myself pretty free, realistically. I'm not looking to go somewhere outside the country, so I really don't care, whether I do whatever, right? But yeah, I mean, at a certain point, we can deduce that really this is going to sound kind of crazy saying this out loud, but the only freedom that you can really have is outside of your body. This is why I would argue that Christians are actually the most free. Now, once again, I'm talking the real Christians. I'm not talking the fake Christians that, they believe in their works or they show up to church and, they just go through the rhythms, right? They're not actually believing on Christ. And it is, once again, a one-time event and you cannot be withheld, right? Like God's not going to kick you to the curb and be like, I don't need you anymore. That's not how he operates. So now that we got that out of the way, we can see where the freedom actually is because you're away from the law, right? Like, I really hate bringing this back to Christianity because I already know some people are going to be like, they're not going to get it at first just because I'm trying to straddle the audience between I don't want to say the physical because it is possible to, see these things physically, but I guess have one foot in the world and one foot in I guess reality, if you want to call it that. Yeah, it's just the law, right? The 10 Commandments condemn you. They condemn you, right? Like everybody on planet Earth has messed up one of the 10 Commandments at some point in their life. They have. And if you've made a mistake in any of those commandments, you are liable to death. And literally this shows every other previous generation has died. They've all died. Now there has been a few people, such as Elijah and Enoch, who were pulled away from the planet before they passed away. But literally every other person has died, right? In some way. And that is exactly my point, right? That death is inescapable. Now, there may be people who go up in the rapture and whatnot, but what I'm saying here is that like those margins of the free man who has the money or the free man who doesn't have the money is the wrong question we should be asking, because you can be free from death, which once again, those two camps are both liable to, right? They cannot escape death. It is impossible for them to. But through Christ, we can escape death, which is sort of an insane. Now you can see, okay, that is who is truly free. Because granted, yes, we're like in the world currently, but I mean, once again, who has escaped death? It's such like a strange group of people. And I mean that in the best way possible, because you have people who you would never expect them to be Christians. You just wouldn't. Like, they're just, I've said this before, you have a drunk guy on the street, or you have a prostitute, or you have, a construction worker. You have just all these different types of people who really believe on Christ, and, they are the ones who are free. They are the ones who are free, right? Not the worldly choice, because the worldly choice only gets you so far. There's not an eternity of money. There's not an eternity of these things that we see in the physical, but there's an eternity of the things in the spiritual. So I always find that to be sort of funny that we're sort of asking the wrong question when we say that, if that makes any sense. I'd like to elaborate on that, but nothing's coming to mind now. Of fucking course, right? This happens every time. So, yeah.